Started, and we give you a minute if you want something else to drink or whatever before we get started with the panel. I'm just going to say, let's see hands. Is everybody good? You got enough to hold you? But not enough to have the items? Okay, good stuff. Good morning again. I'm Tracy Lewis with Community Advocates. I'm CEO of this wonderful community outreach organization, but as well, passion of my heart, what I feel called to do. And I'm so grateful to God to be able to do it with the wonderful team members that we have here in the back. Okay, we're still working on this slide. But in any case, I want to thank you all for being here. This is a Beloved Community Coalition endeavor, and it came about, actually, interesting, and heartwarming story. Dr. Angelique Brown, dear friend, go way back. I mean, way back. Don't ask. She was talking about her new endeavor transitioning to add to what she already does as an extraordinary family physician, obesity medicine certification. And we began to talk about all of the challenges, issues, and then all of the remedies and solutions and things that are out there that everyone is aware of. With obesity medicine, you know, there's some new and emerging technologies that not everybody knows about. And then as I thought about it more and said, you know, we should do a community conversation. She said, absolutely, because it's also near and dear to her heart for other reasons that I'll let her share if she'd like to. But as I thought about it, it's a larger issue. It's an issue when we think about healthy bodies and managing them. It's also an issue of food access. Who's got healthy food near them? It is a food justice as well issue. And so I thought, who better than the incomparable Dr. Janet Seabrook, who is also family physician of many years, CEO of Community Health Net, Commissioner of Dairy Health Department. Also, and so when we talk about food access, Dr. Seabrook is also, she has a garden, she works with state CDC, am I right? Absolutely. So this woman never met a vegetable she couldn't turn into something delicious. Good stuff. And I thought, it's not just a food justice issue. Let's just think about now, emotional. The mental, emotional, and social impact that's tied to our eating. How many of us have gone to family gatherings, and it's always good food, ladies. I mean, you can't help but get some mac and cheese. Right. But every time I make it, I think it's good you only make that once a year. It's got 10 pounds of butter, a bunch of cheese, pasta, all year long. So, when we look at the fact that that's what's available, and that's what we enjoy eating. When you think about the fact that when we celebrate, it's always sugar. And it's not just a sugar. You got a cake and ice cream. You know, and pie. Come on now. Absolutely. In fact, name out some of your favorite holiday dinners. Just go ahead, or food items. Just call them. Sweet potato pie. We are going to do without anybody else. Pound cake. Dressing. Pecan. Nutrition. Yep. Dressing for sure. Mostly. Banana pudding might be the closest thing to something with a fruit or vegetable. Am I right? And so that's what's available. Say it again. Cobbler, peach, apple, blueberries. Any way you slice it is delicious, and you're not going to avoid it at holiday time. How many times have we, get home at the end of a really long day? The last thing you feel like doing as you pass by Culver's, McDonald's, name them, Rallies, Portillo's, name whatever it is. Say churches, Popeyes, these places are just almost standing down the road. Come on, I got a dinner for you. And so there's that situation. And we look at this emotional, social, relational eating. We're also having Dr. Trayvon Davis Neal, who's a psychologist, to talk to us about those intersections of what it means relational eating and what it means emotional eating. Sometimes if you're feeling the blues, nothing fixes it like ice cream or chocolate, right? And somebody said, oh, cookies. Absolutely. And so that's real. And so we're going to have Dr. Trayvon Davis Neal to talk about that. And then the spirituality behind everything. Your why. Why you do this, why you don't do this. Where will you call on the strength to avoid the pecan pies and the pies and things like that. And for that we have Pastor Reverend James Williams, pastor of Church of the Living God in Muskegon, Michigan. And he has his own journey of transformation, moving into, I'll just let him talk about it, because it's going to center faith and the spirituality, and how spirituality is different from willpower. And so this is a discussion where you all get to ask questions and share and everything. This is a no judgment zone. This is a no shame zone. So that everything we do here, we don't want to be talking at you or about you. We're talking with you. I'm so grateful for everyone who's here today, because as we take these things on, we have funding from the Lake County Health Department and as well Indiana Minority Health Coalition. So we have funds from the State Department of Health and County Department of Health. And they are always looking to learn more about community needs, community opinions, community trends. And so everything you share here will be recorded. I know everybody's already seen. We have our wonderful photographer here, award-winning journalist, Jeff Black, right here. And I can't go any further without talking about my own team. The wonderful folks you see in the canine orange and blue and white. And they're right here in the back. I'm just going to name first names. We got Nicole, we've got Valerie, Penny, Kirsten, and Demarion, Denise, Taylor, and then we are joined by some wonderful folks who came alongside to help, Sheila and Ms. Perry, affectionately known as. And so I'm just so grateful to have the support here today, because what we want to do here today is to embrace you with resources, but our logo is a heart with a hand on it, because we want to embrace you as well with care. Our tagline is, together we're better, because Can-I cares. So with that, I will bring up Nicole Otis, our outreach director, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about what we do, our programs, and what have you. Nicole?
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Just to give you a little bit about our programs, we do focus on some health priorities such as obesity, heart disease, infant and maternal mortality, your mental wellness through behavioral health. So some of our programs that address those are our beloved Community Coalition, which you are here a part of today. We do have the Lake County Tobacco Prevention Coalition that we, along with Franciscan Health, run, and that coalition works to reduce the impact of commercial tobacco use in our communities. We go into the schools, we work with businesses, multi-unit housing. We go out and pair that with some of our other programs, such as when a property is going smoke-free or tobacco-free, we'll go out and do a healthy living series with them, pairing it with our heart program, heart disease prevention program. So we'll go out over a span of 4 weeks and work with the residents to make sure that they are able to transition from smoking to healthy living with the supports that they need. We have our Love Mom Doula program. This program addresses infant and maternal mortality in Lake County. We are trying to reduce our numbers because we are on the higher end of the spectrum, and we don't want any lives lost. So we do have our Love Mom Doula program, and we do have a team of doulas who work with the moms as they are journeying through their pregnancy. And we do check in with them even after birth, a minimum of 2 visits to make sure that they have that postpartum care as well. You're part of Stronger Together. This is addressing the whole person. With Stronger Together, we do address heart disease, mental wellness, all things encompassing your health and well-being. So that might be physical activity, it may be community conversations, it may be a nutrition class, but we do all of those under that program. We do have Caring for Kings. That's a program that we do to address men and their mental well-being. And Cure of Souls brings in, with the Caring for Kings, that faith-based background to that program. We've done Can I Movie and Too Good for Drugs. Those bring you what's happening in society, real world, and we're able to take those instances and have conversation about it and show you what's happening in this movie does apply to real life, and this is how you can recognize these things in your own lives. If anyone is interested, all of our programs are free. So if you have an organization that you would like us to come and work with, come and speak to, please meet me. I'll be here the entire event and after. Please touch base with me, and I'll be happy to talk with you and discuss that and set up something so we can come out and work with your organizations. Okay, so we're going to move right along, and I'm going to introduce today's moderator for you. Today we have moderating Ms. Chelsea Stalling Whittington, which is a native of Gary, Indiana, and a proud graduate of Westside High School. Well, she's also a graduate of Howard University, where she received her BA in Broadcast Journalism, magna cum laude, and Purdue University, where she received her Master's of Arts in Organizational Communication, summa cum laude. Her career in public relations and communications spans more than 33 years, having worked for the Peace Corps Recruiting Office in Arlington, Virginia, the office of Congressman Charles Rangel, a Democrat from New York, JWA Boys and Girls Club, Lake Area United Way, Horseshoe Casino, the Gary Community School Corporation, Johnson Publishing Company, and the Chicago Urban League. Since 2015, Chelsea has operated her own PR consulting firm, CWIT PR LLC, where she develops public relations and social media strategies for clients, as well as presents workshops, trainings on social media and public speaking. In spring 2019, she made the big leap into full-time entrepreneurship while expanding her clientele to serve small businesses, nonprofit organizations, and governmental agencies. Whittington earned her Minority and Women-Owned Business certification for the state of Indiana, which has opened doors for procurement of contracts with business and organizations across the state. She serves as an adjunct instructor at Indiana University Northwest and is in her 27th year. A longtime member of the Trinity Missionary Baptist Church, Chelsea sings in the choir, is a member of the GEEK Geek Squad, assists with social media, and serves as a church hostess. She volunteers for the JWA Boys and Girls Club, Sojourner Truth House, is a member of the Black Public Relations Society of Chicago, the iHeartMedia Local Advisory Board, NBC5 Chicago's Community Outreach Board, and Legacy Foundation. Whittington resides in Gary with her husband, Terrell, of 16 years. She lives by the motto, go the extra mile. It's never crowded there. We want to welcome up front Ms. Chelsea Collin Wilkinson.
Good morning, everybody. Trace, I'm gonna get you the real pared down version next time. I'm so sorry, but I thank you. It just reminds me of God's goodness when I hear all of those things that He's brought me to and through. How's everybody feeling this morning? Are we ready to hear from the experts? Yes. So I am just here, and I want to thank Tracy and the entire Kenai team for allowing me this opportunity to guide this ship today on information that we need, that we thirst for, and I'm grateful that Kenai exists to do this. Can we give them another round of applause? The information that's going to be shared today, it is our hope that not only will you internalize it, but that you will take it and pass it along to someone else who needs it. Some of the things that you'll hear and see today may not specifically apply to you, but I'm sure may apply to someone you know. And so, are we ready to get started? Yeah. Let's do this. And we can take my face from up here. I'm like, ew. Okay. For the first part of the agenda, we are going to hear from each one of our panelists. They'll take a short moment to introduce themselves further, things that they want you to know about them, and then I have a series of questions that will be collectively answered by the panel, and then there are specific questions directed to each panelist in their areas of expertise. It is my honor to start with my colleague and my good friend and my client, Dr. Janet Seabrook of Community Health Net Health Centers. It wasn't mentioned in her bio, so I'll just do the shameless plug. She also has a book, a recipe book, and so I'm sure she'll tell you about that. If you want to get the book, or hop on Amazon, or come to a future book signing, March 31st, and you can get that done. Dr. Seabrook, we're going to turn the mic over to you for your opening remarks, and she will be followed by Dr. Angelique D. Brown, Dr. Trayvon Davis Neal, and last but not least, Pastor James. Let's welcome our panelists one more time.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Dr. Janet Seabrook. I am a family medicine physician by training. I was trained at Methodist Hospital's North Lake campus alongside Dr. Angie Brown. We are colleagues like that. I'm also the City of Gary's Health Commissioner under the leadership of Mayor Melton. And we talked about a recipe book. I do have a recipe book. You can go to Amazon, shameless plug again, and just look up my name, Dr. Janet Seabrook, and it'll pop up. So the recipe book actually came about, because I'm not trying to teach anybody how to cook. The recipe book actually came about when I was a resident, seeing patients and trying to discuss with them their blood pressure, their diabetes, and their weights. And so I would have this back and forth about substituting things that could take the place of ground beef. And here's this beef community is going to come after me again. But, you know, making those healthier substitutions. So we started trading recipes. I said, bring me your recipe in. And the next time you come back, I'm going to have it converted into a healthier recipe. And so this went on for years. And so that back and forth, I developed a lot of recipes that I wanted to make sure that other people outside of the patients that I was seeing would be able to have that information. So that is how the recipe book came about. And so in my quest to help people maintain their health, you have to kind of walk the walk that you're talking, okay? And so I started a garden And it really grew because we were all bored during COVID, right? We wanted to get outside, so I got outside and made my garden even bigger than it was. And then we started, when we were able to come back to the office, I said, I have too many things. So let's start bringing them into the office for the patients to take with them. And then we hooked up with Faith Farms and Food is Medicine in their program, and they were creating healthy boxes for patients. So this is kind of just grown out from an exam room to what it is right now. So that's what I want to have conversation with, how we can, make ourselves healthier with the things that are already in our pantry and some of those pantry items that are being given out at the various food pantries throughout Northwest Indiana.
I want to tell you a little bit more about Dr. Angelique Brown and also mention that Methodist Hospital has given us some information and some sanitizers and things on the table in the back if you all want to go out and grab it on your way out. Dr. Angelique Brown is a board-certified family medicine physician based in Maryville, Indiana, with over 20 years of experience. As I mentioned, over 30 years of experience. And while she's a board-certified family medicine, as I said before, she's double board-certified now for obesity medicine. She's affiliated with Methodist. Her specialties include chronic disease management, including diabetes and hypertension. She provides comprehensive care for patients, including women's health services, and she's highly recommended by her patients. Hands of those of you who've seen Dr. Brown in a professional capacity. I thought we had a number of Dr. Brown's patients already in the room. I'm always shocked when, I end up talking about Dr. Brown and somebody will say, oh, that's my doctor. I had somebody here today who said, oh, she was my doctor. So that's a wonderful thing to know that she has been caring over 30 years. As her friend, I can tell you it's also a matter of her heart, her spirituality and everything else. And so we're so fortunate to have her here today. I forgive her that she's a West Side graduate. She also graduated from Columbia Medical School University of Missouri at Columbia. Residency, as Dr. Seabrook mentioned, and I always remember Dr. Ross introducing her as one of Gary's finest. And so, Dr. Brown, if you will pick up from here and tell a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, and the patients out there, your checks are in the mail. Thank you for coming. It is such an honor to be here. As Tracy said, born and raised in Gary, proud graduate of Westside High School. Some classmates here also on the sandbox. So let me just briefly say, yes, I've been in family practice for over 30 years now. But the passion to work more with obese patients has been a long time in the making. Personal note, I grew up with a sister with morbid obesity who's no longer with us. But I saw what she went through as a kid. I saw what she dealt with, unfortunately, in the health-related fields, how she was treated differently. And with the new medications that are out, I felt very led and encouraged to go deeper and learn more. And I took on a crazy task last year of continuing to manage my practice and study for an additional board certification. So things went well, and so I will still continue family practice for those that are seeing me, but I will be spending one day at the obesity clinic in Crown Point starting in April. So just briefly, let's talk about obesity, very briefly. So 40 to 45% of adults are defined as obese. And that means that your body mass index is more than 30%. What's more concerning is that more than 20% of children are also considered morbidly obese. And statistics show that children that are raised in a home with two morbidly obese parents are more likely to wind up obese. And just know that, I need to say these two things if you don't remember anything else from this talk. One is obesity is not a character flaw. And two, it is not a matter of willpower. When we are born with a set point. Like your house is at a set point to be at 72 degrees. When it's 20 degrees outside, the furnace works hard to get back at that set point. If there's someone that has a born set point at 150 pounds, they work down to get to 120 pounds, what happens? The body says, I'm not accustomed to you being at this weight. So there are certain things that happen in our brain, that happens in our gut, to say, I'm going to make it harder for you to stay at 120 pounds. That's real. That's biological. That's chemical. That has nothing to do with you working harder or not being enough, or sure, you shouldn't be eating McDonald's every day. That's a given. But there's a real biological base to being obese. The more we recognize that, the more we understand it. For some reason, obesity is an extremely polarizing topic. Am I right? Yes. We see somebody out and about, there's a label attached to it. There's something that goes on in your mind that says, this person is that way. And I think at some point, if we're honest, we're all guilty of it at some point. We are. I'll speak for myself at some point. We see obese patients in a different light, that they're different. They're not different. They need more help. They need more understanding from the community. They need less judgment from the healthcare community. Because at some point, we're all guilty of it. My heart is just so focused on obesity patients because it leads to so many other things. Diabetes, heart disease, liver disease, arthritic issues. The more weight that's on those joints, the sooner those joints are going to give away. So it's not a matter of how you look in your string bikini or your Speedos. We get one of these, we get one chance to take care of this temple. But we also need help doing it. And I know a lot of people here because they want to hear about the new medications, the GLP-1s, and I'll address that. I absolutely will. And GLP-1s are a tool. They're a tool that are very effective. There are other medications that are tools. There are other simple lifestyle changes that are tools. There are a lot of tools in the toolbox. It's not just one thing that we can do. There are many things that we can do. I hate the D word. I hate the diet word. Because when you're done with the diet, what happens? Because you get to that 120 and what happens? That set point kicks in and what happens? It goes right back. So there should not be an end point. The D word means there's a beginning and an end. It should be a continuum. It should be a lifestyle. I could go on and on. I'm going to pass it on to the next speaker. I know there will be some questions that are going to come up, and I'll be happy to answer any additional questions. Thank you.
And now we're going to hear from Dr. Trayvon Davis-Neal.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Trayvon Davis-Neal, and I am the CEO of Nzinga Mind and Heart, which is a behavioral health or mental health private practice. And my office is located in Crown Point, and I am licensed in the state of Illinois and the state of Indiana. We work with individuals generally who are living with anxiety, depression, who have experienced trauma. But I would say, for me, the demographic that I spend the most time working with are caregivers. So I support individuals who support other individuals. I allow them that safe place, that safe space in order to be able to take off their cape. So physicians, nurses, pastors, teachers, but individuals who are caring for an ill family member, those are the individuals that I appreciate supporting the most because generally they don't get that space to just be free and to be upset and to be resentful and to be sad and all of those things. So it brings shame. So I love to offer that space for them to be able to get those things out and then get back to the work that they do. My experience, beyond my personal experience with obesity, in my past, I have ran a program in the city of Chicago, on the west side of Chicago, that worked with nutrition and worked with parents and the youth. The west side of Chicago is a food desert, healthy food desert. So a lot of times individuals are shopping at corner stores and those things to get their needs, their nutritional needs met. In this program, I had the pleasure to be able to sit down and have these one-on-one conversations with parents as to what was going on and maybe why they were making some of the choices they were making nutrition-wise. A lot of it came from their childhood experiences. It came from, well, I grew up in foster care, and my foster parents treated me and my siblings different from their own children. So they had a menu, and our menu was separate, okay? Or I am on public assistance, or I'm on Social Security, and I have been that way for a while. I don't get to make decisions in many areas of my life because I'm on a fixed income. What I can make a decision on myself all the time is what I put in my mouth. And I'm gonna put in my mouth what I want to put in my mouth, and nobody can stop me from doing that. The other big thing that was heartbreaking and frightening, but on the west side of Chicago, the parents were concerned about their children playing outside. So I'm gonna get them a PlayStation, a video game, something in the house so I will know where they are. And those children weren't able to be outside and jump rope and ride bikes and do some of the things that I was able to do when I was a child. Parents who are concerned about their safety. So their children will sit in the house, have snacks, and play their video games. And we were working to try to figure out how we can remove some of those barriers, finding some safe places and spaces for these children. So the children would be working out with and having fun and playing games and exercising while I would have these one-on-one conversations with the parents. You know, people have said my mom used to put a chain or a lock around the refrigerator. And so these are issues that stick with individuals. And so now that I'm an adult, I'm gonna let my children have whatever they wanna have, whenever they want to have it. So I work with changing the mind. We have to change our minds and make a decision to do something different. The doctor spoke earlier today, it is not just about willpower. It is a full, whole body transition, a mindset shift. And if we don't shift our minds to do something different, we're gonna go right back to what we used to do before because that's what we're comfortable with, okay? When did we learn initially to soothe ourselves or soothe our emotions with food? When did we learn that? When you were a baby. The first thing that we do is we put a bottle in their mouth. We have to check to see if they're cold, hot, wet. We do all that afterwards, but we're gonna start with pacifier or bottle in the mouth, okay? I don't know about your family and your culture, but we celebrate, we mourn, you know, we do everything. It is surrounded by food, okay? That's the first thing even now. When somebody says they lost someone, the first thing I'm thinking about, okay, I need to go order a pan of chicken and send it to their homes, okay? And so that is, in my culture, that is our love language, and that's what we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just like Dr. Seabrook was mentioning before, if we can just make some other choices. Right. We can make some other choices. So we'll talk a little bit more about family gatherings, about preparation. Preparation is huge, okay? If you don't prepare, you'll just have to go with the flow, okay? So we'll talk a little bit more about that today. Thank you. Thank you.
And now we have Pastor James Williams, who will share his testimony and talk to us about the spiritual and faith dimension of you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is James Williams. I'm pastor Church of the Living God in Muskegon, Michigan. And I sit here today, not just as a pastor, but as someone who has walked the road of weight, balanced weight, health, wellness, and all of its ups and downs. I like to tell people this. I was listening to the doctors here on the other side. I cannot tell you how correct they are because I've lived that experience. What I wanted to do, if you could just get to a slide and it shows a picture of me, that would be helpful. And I'll just you just leave it there. I'm a person that can say that I've lost and gained 100 pounds a couple of times in my life. And now I'm back trying to get back on it. I've had times in my life when, even as a pastor, I avoided the mirror, I avoided the scale, I avoided real conversations about my health. But one thing I learned through it all is that you can't fix what you don't face. So I'm here now because I had a great friend of mine tell me something that really affected my life and changed my life. I was, as a pastor, I buried too many people with type 2 diabetes. And it would surprise some people, the number of people that struggle with blood sugar, struggle with obesity, particularly people in my community and all of us. You know, there were just so many people that were struggling. Well, in 2017, I found myself, as a pastor, being diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And I got this diagnosis, and the doctor told me, he said, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to put you on lisinopril today, and then in a few months you're going to be on metformin, and then a few months or sometime after that you're going to have to go on insulin. And I rejected that, and I asked the doctor, I said, what can I do to avoid this? And no one could tell me. I kept asking, and no one would tell me what to do. So actually what I did was I went online and began to do my own research and ask the questions, what can I do to fix myself? What can I do to help? And I learned so much because I always heard these things about calories in and calories out. All you gotta do is eat less. All you gotta do is this, and all you gotta do is that. Well, I have 3 brothers, and I was always the biggest, and we ate the same thing. And I just wondered, why is my dad 190 pounds and I was 360 pounds? Wow. And so I would ask, and I asked the question, and I said, look, you know, my dad had a heart attack at age 52. I was about that age. My brother, who was 100 pounds lighter than me, had 2 heart attacks by the time he was 50. So I had to ask myself the question, what are you going to do? Because obviously, this is a problem in your family and something that you might be headed for as well. So I just began to go and do research and find out what can I do, because I got tired of burying all my friends, I got tired of preaching over church members, and everybody would say, it was so many people that struggle with obesity. And so I asked myself, what am I telling them? And when I say what am I telling them, I'm not talking about preaching to people. I'm not talking about scripture. I'm not talking about sermons. I'm talking about what I look like. I'm talking about my own health. So I began to do research and ask the questions, what can I do to make a difference in my own life so that I can kind of serve an example to other people? Because not only do I want to live longer, I want to live well. I want to live healthy. I want to be able to do things. Sometimes the doctor was saying, you're jointed, things like that, but affected. I got 2 new knees last year. One in January, one in November. Just this past November. I have 2 new knees. Okay? I went from, can you just do a slide real quick and I can just show you what I used to look like? That's me. On the left, on your left, you see that's my wife and I. And this is us going to see a movie that we're doing. Yep. Can you go ahead and do a couple more? I can show you. That's me in 2018. Okay, that's me in 2018. I was about 360 pounds or so. And today, I'm a lot lighter, weigh a lot less, and you don't have to go through all of that. That's okay. I can go through all of that later on. But what I want to tell you is, I want to come to encourage you, to tell you that things are possible, change is possible. But the first thing you have to do, to me, is to change your mindset. I love what the doctor said. It's not about diet. It's not about you as a person. And I have a set point that was different from all 3 of my brothers and my father. I was always the largest of everybody for some strange reason. And so when I see people say it's all about food, it's all about this, it's all about that, I tell people, I said, no, y'all don't understand. I smell food and gain weight. I promise that's the truth. I can smell food and gain weight. So what I want to do today is let me pass this mic back, but I do want to just encourage everybody here today. Change is possible. You know, if you focus, if you learn some things about yourself. And I had to accept some truths about my set point. I had to accept some truths about myself. And then when I accepted those things and faced them, then I was able to change without putting in my mouth. Because one thing a pastor friend of mine told me, he said, Pastor, I want to tell you something. And I was all excited, you know how pastors get. Yeah, we got a word from the Lord, and this and that. We do all this spiritual talk and everything. And he says to me, he says, Pastor, man, you're getting too heavy. And I said, okay, what do I do? He said, let me tell you like this. He said, I want to tell you what I can't tell people. And I said, what's that? He said, people want to just pray everything over. We pray over the wrong foods. We pray over too much food at the wrong time. We eat too much too frequently. And he said, and then we just pray and think God's going to change the calorie count. Or the sugar in it, and it don't work like that. He said, Pastor, it don't work like that. So he said to me, this is what he said to me. He said, I'm going to tell you what I want to tell other people. He said, if you're going to just pray over it and not change anything, get out the prayer line. Because you're wasting time. And you're wasting my time and God's time. So what I learned to do is, I learned to pray to God for strength. I learned to pray and I learned to get in groups of people and encourage other groups of people, encourage myself in what I needed to do, and to educate myself in body chemistry, educate myself in metabolism, educate myself on what insulin, a storage hormone, educate myself on what I eat and what happens when I eat certain things and when I eat them. And when I began to do that, then I could implement lifestyle changes that you see today. So God bless you.
One more time for all of our panelists in their opening remarks. They have really set the stage for our discussion. I am in charge of keeping us on time, and so those were their introductory comments. But now we're going to do a lightning round, if you will, of various questions so that we can hone in on the issues of today. And I'm going to start with the opening framing question that is addressed to all of you, and keeping in mind that there are more to come, so I just ask that we keep our responses concise so that we can get everything. Is that okay, everybody? Yes. All right, let's do it. Many people are trying to take better care of their bodies. but feel confused by all the messages that we've talked about already about weight, metabolism, and health from your various perspectives, and some of it you've already touched on, but medicine, mental health, public health, and faith, what are some of the key factors that influence our body's ability to maintain a healthy metabolism and energy balance? So each one of you can share a tip and pass the mic. We are taking notes and going to implement. All right, Pastor, we're going to do the work and stay in the prayer line, okay? All right. Dr. Brown.
So just briefly, a couple of things off the dome. Sugary beverages. Never drink your calories. Sugary beverages. Never drink your calories. Number two, just briefly, there are many hormones that can affect our appetite. One main hormone is called ghrelin. It's produced in the stomach.
Can you say that again, Dr.
Ghrelin. It's called ghrelin. It's produced in the stomach. Just think of gremlins in the stomach when your stomach growls. It's a real thing. It's a hormone. And when we're hungry, that hormone goes up. And what? We eat. And when we get halfway through the meal, what happens to that hormone level? It goes down, and another hormone kicks in the brain. It's called leptin, and it says, I'm getting full. Okay? What happens is, when we lose weight, what happens to our body? We produce more ghrelin. So that ghrelin says, eat more calories, eat more calories. So that's the hunger hormone. So we lose weight, we produce more of the hormone that's causing us to gain weight. So that's when I say it's more than willpower. It's more than weakness. It's more than being enticed by that lovely meal in the back. Oh, you all didn't know we're going to exercise after this?
We're going to jog around the whole, we can just go next door.
You didn't get that memo? Yeah, we're running around afterwards. Increasing your protein intake naturally decreases the production of ghrelin. When I say protein, a healthy lean meat, a boiled egg, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, things like that give you the feeling of fullness, and they keep you full longer throughout the day, as opposed to, let's go back to that mac and cheese. It's very satisfying now, but in an hour, what? You're hungry again. You're hungry again because that ghrelin level starts to go up really, really fast after you have those fancy carbohydrates, pastas, breads, rice, potatoes. So just sugary beverages, I'm trying to keep it quick. Sugary beverages, increase your protein. If you don't think of anything else, remember those two things. I'm going to pass them.
Thank you, thank you. One round of time for Dr. Brown. Let's say by the book, Dr. No, just kidding.
I want to make some of you not happy right now. Just tying into what Dr. Brown just mentioned about don't drink your calories with those sugary beverages. Let's think about our alcohol intake as well, because they have a high sugar content. And it also, it reduces your inhibition, so sometimes you end up eating more than you intended, or you snack more. So let's also think about our alcohol intake if you're somebody who does imbibe. I'm going to keep it short.
Thank you, Doctor.
I'm going to be even shorter. Manage your stress levels, okay? Even if you don't work in a high stress position or a position where individuals get on your nerve, find your people, your supportive environment, your environment where you psychologically you are able to be, that you feel safe, that you're able to have these difficult conversations. Regulate your emotions. Get in touch with your emotions. What am I feeling? Am I actually hungry, or am I in my feelings because so-and-so just said something to me, okay? Yeah, that should work.
Thank you, Doctor. Fantastic.
Okay. My tip would be this. When you go to the store, try to avoid the shelves and stay on the outside of the store. Okay? One thing that really helps is Whole Foods. I talked to Africa, some people that were there, and one of the thought processes that they have ultimately says this: if it's in a box, it's in a tube. It's already dead. So if you want to live, you have to eat live food. You have to eat stuff that's alive, that's living, it's already been through the factory, it already killed it, it's already done, it's in a can, it's in this, it's in that. So if we can afford, if we can have that, just try not to eat so many processed foods. And if you eat, I found that for me, if I eat more whole foods, that it really helps my body, feed my body quicker, because if it's on the shelf, it'll sit in you.
That is hold the mic. Pastor. But that was deep, wasn't it? It's in the box, it's in a tube, it's dead, okay? Yes. Okay, and so I'm gonna give the next question, and we'll lead off with you, and we'll pass back the other way. For many years, people were told that body weight was simply about willpower, right, Doc? What should people understand about how the body actually regulates metabolism, hunger, and energy storage? Would you care to comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. These doctors can talk about that much more effectively than what I can. But what I can tell you is that when I did my own research, I found out that it wasn't just about try harder, or just do this, or just do that. You know, you have to kind of unlock yourself. Understand your own body. Understand what happens when you eat certain things, and be honest with yourself. You know, for me, that was the key to really understanding my own health and weight and managing my own weight. It was to truly try to understand and learn and accept facts about myself, that I was different. You know, my own family, like I said, they could eat and not gain a pound. I would eat the exact same meal at the exact same time and gain weight. So everybody tells you it's simple, it's not. You have to learn yourself, understand yourself, and then accept yourself. And let me tell everybody, and you're all wonderful, beautiful, amazing people, you know. But there's hope for anybody who wants to just be healthier. And that, I guess, that kind of was my thing too. It wasn't just about losing weight; it was about being healthier, being better. Started off up here. I had to fix this first. I had to fix the way I thought about food and my relationship with food and why. And then after that, things got easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
So, remember this, feelings are not fact. Okay? So if you're in your field, I need you to let go of what mama said to you, about what your first boyfriend or girlfriend said to you, about what they told you, or the names they called you on the playground when you were in school, okay? Be compassionate with yourself, okay? This is a journey. This is a marathon. It will be your life. It's a lifestyle change, okay? So your feelings are not fact. So understanding, and again, asking yourself, what is happening right now? Am I actually hungry? Is this ghrelin? Is this ghrelin? Or is this me in my feelings because I'm bored? Okay? Because I'm mad, I'm sad, or I'm excited, okay? Your feelings are not necessarily fact.
So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to leave all the hormonal stuff to our newly certified obesity doctor. One of the things that I just wanted to share is people don't really keep a record of what they eat. We do a lot of mindless eating. So I would challenge patients, particularly those when they were pre-diabetic or diabetic, newly diagnosed diabetes. Because they would say, Doc, I only eat 2 times a day. I was like, really? Really? Okay. So this is what because you know, you would have the book where you would write your blood sugar down. You would check your blood sugar and you had a record. I said, what I need for you to do, I said, I'm even going to give you the paper. I want you to write down what you eat every day until you come back for your 2-week visit. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Their minds were blown when they would bring it back. Is this 2 times a day? Every time in your feelings, you're eating. So I don't think that people realize how much they eat in one day, because it's a lot of it is mindless or I'm in my feelings. Yeah.
Thank you, doctor.
So specifically going back to metabolism, a couple of things that directly affect our metabolism. Sleep. How many of us get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night? I know I don't. So for those that do, good, because that's where you should be. But for those of us that don't, then what do we do? If you have sleep deprivation, it is directly linked to higher levels of ghrelin. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone. We naturally eat more when we get less sleep. Studies have shown that people who work midnights or shift work, it affects their sleep-wake cycle. It affects the amount that they eat. They tend to eat more. Like the doctor said, high stress, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, produces higher levels of ghrelin. Yes. Something that decreases ghrelin or increases metabolism is building muscle. I'm not saying go to the gym and be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm saying twice a week, light weights increases you burning calories at rest.
Say that again, Doc.
Increasing muscle mass. If you're just sedentary here, if Dr. Seabrook lifts weights and I don't, just sitting here, she's burning more calories at rest than I am.
Great tip.
So, like I said, you don't have to be a muscle man or a muscle woman. Light weights 2 times a week is the actual recommendation. Okay? One other thing, I'm sorry. I know I get wrong, I'm sorry.
You get
Processed foods. There was a study done a couple of years ago. 2 groups, 2 random groups. One group was allowed to eat processed foods. The other group, no processed foods. They took in almost identical amount of calories. The group that ate processed foods gained 20% more than the people that did not eat processed foods, just because of the type of foods that they ate. So you hear calorie is a calorie is not a calorie. What the good pastor said, what'd you say? If it's in a box, it's already dead? Absolutely. He said it better than me. So that's my statement on metabolism.
All right. Let's thank the panelists for that response. Here comes the fun part. And, as Tracy and I were powwowing together and she's sharing the questions with me, and I'm looking, I don't know if they were shared with you or if you're clairvoyant, but a lot of the things on my list have been covered through their responses. And so we're going to turn to the audience because I know you all are chomping, no pun intended, chomping at the bit to ask questions of these professionals. And I ask, we have a mic that's going to be floating the room, and I just simply ask that you ask your question, and if you want to direct it to a specific panelist, or if you want them all to respond, but we do want to be mindful of time. Please raise your hand, and Ms. Lewis will come to you for your question. We'll start here with the young lady in the green in the center.
All right. All right. Here we are.
Hello. Okay. I have a question about water intake. Now, I've always been told, drink 8 glasses of water a day, try to get like 64 ounces per day, and that's kind of hard to do if you're not a water drinker. I personally am a water drinker, and I have recently started my increase of water, and I can go 48 to maybe 64, you know, in a day. But my question is that I learned or I heard that you should drink water should be the first thing you put in your mouth in the morning, you know, like after you brush your teeth or whatever. But the first thing you should intake is water, because that kind of gets the cycle of your insides, you know, going. I don't know if it's the gremlin or
Is that your question?
yes, should water be the first thing that you take in the morning?
Does it have to be the first? I'm not that rigid. Does it have to be the first thing in the morning? No. Is it an important part of our diet throughout the day? The answer is yes. And also, they say that warm water is better, okay, as opposed to ice cold water, okay, first thing in the morning. So, yes, it's a good thing, but like I said, I'm not that rigid person to say, yes, that has to be done every morning. Should it be a part of your regular diet? Should you try to get 64? Do I get 64? Absolutely not. Do I try? Yes, I do. But I'm going to beat down on the sugary beverages again.
Okay.
For those people that don't like to drink water, then throw a mint leaf in there, squeeze an orange in there, squeeze a lime, put a cucumber in there. The people that say, but I do Propel water.
Right.
Look on the back. That's all that's all I have to say. And also, on a side note, artificial flavoring. They trick your brain into thinking that they're sugar. They have the same effect as a complex carbohydrate. They stimulate your appetite. So people that like the blue one or the pink one or the yellow one, I'm telling you, they have, no, don't look at me like that. They have an effect on your brain. They stimulate your appetite. So.
Hi, first of all, thank you to all of you. But to piggyback off of her question, why is the warm water better than the cold water? Anyway.
Because your body doesn't have to work as hard, okay? Because our bodies are what? Warm. So that's why. That's the simple answer, okay?
Good morning. I have a question. I have the Oura Ring, which I love. It tracks my sleep. It tracks, you know, if I'm getting ill, it lets me know. And also your biometrics. I had some lab work done, and it did like 51 biometrics for me. And when I found out how much inflammation that I had in my body, it scared me. So I can say that in this month, we're doing everything correctly at this point. But I still have this visceral fat. How? That's my question.
I think that's one of the most difficult places in the body to lose because you described it right, that visceral fat. And it just kind of hangs around there. It is the toughest. We will start to develop muscles in other areas. I want to go back to when you talked about developing muscles and building muscle strength. And we don't need to run to the gym. Okay, here the gym people come to get me. But you have items right in your house that you can use. You don't need to go and buy barbells, dumbbells, canned goods. They're right there. So don't go out and buy anything. Utilize those. But I say all that to say is you will start to develop that lean muscle, arms, legs, as you're walking, running, jogging, whatever you're doing. That stomach is the last thing, that last point of resistance. And you just have to continue to do whatever it is that's going to make those muscles behind all that visceral fat contract. So that as you are doing and increasing your metabolism, and burning out that visceral fat, it is the most difficult to get rid of. keep doing what you're doing.
I just briefly want to piggyback on that, about the visceral fat thing. I'm sorry, men, I'm going to talk to women that are of a certain age group where the visceral fat becomes impossible. Our body changes from a pear to an apple. That is hormonally related. The fat in the visceral or the abdominal area literally has a life of its own. It makes you more insulin resistant. It increases your chances of getting diabetes. It increases your triglycerides, which is a bad fat. It increases your chances of heart disease. So it's not just how you look in your clothes or your clothes fitting. It is an organ within itself that causes metabolic problems as we get older. And like I said, yes, from a female perspective, it has a lot to do with our hormones. So it absolutely is more difficult. We may be the same size, but our clothes fit differently because our fat distribution changes as we get older. So yes, that is a battle. It is harder as we get older. The inflammation piece is directly related to the food that we eat. The complex carbohydrates causes inflammation. So when you got those numbers, the set rate, the CRPs, all those fancy numbers were super high. It's related to the complex carbohydrates and the saturated fats.
All right. We've got more questions, but I'm going to ask you all just so hold on for a second because this might hit it. We had questions come in online. One of them was GLP-1s. And the variety of medicines and remedies that you already talked about. So you can just do that.
Yeah, GLP-1s is the thing. GLP-1s have actually been out since 2005. So they're not new. They're new to a lot of people, but they're not new. So they've been out over 20 years now. They started out in just diabetics, and then they saw that one of the side effects was weight loss. So once again, I think there's a part of the population where it's become like taboo because social media has made it out to be attainable only for people of means, and there's so many things attached to it, and it shouldn't be. They're great medications. I have family members that are on the medications. I prescribe the medications. I fight with insurance companies to use the medications. I'm going to say that again. I fight with insurance companies to use the medications. But let me also say, there are other medications other than GLP-1s. Let me say that. There are pills, there are other medications that are out there that are safe when prescribed properly, when managed properly, that also help. The GLP-1s are so popular because the one where you can lose the most is upwards of 25% of body weight. That's a lot of weight. So that's why they've gotten so much attention. But they still have to be used and managed properly. Because we've all seen pictures of celebrities where it becomes too much. It becomes unhealthy. I think it is irresponsible for some healthcare providers to kind of turn it into just a GLP-1 meal. There are a lot of facilities, this is touchy, I'm sorry. There are a lot of facilities that prescribe compound versions. Compound is a nice word for bootleg, I'm sorry. So please be careful of the medications that you are prescribed.
I just wanted to just piggyback just a little bit on this fad because, and Dr. Brown just touched on it, there are a lot of counterfeit medications out there, and the FDA just put something out last week about the number of counterfeit medications that are being direct to consumers in magazines, on social media pages and things like that, on your television screen. And many of these medications are coming from foreign countries that are not going through the FDA approval process. So I just want everyone to be cautious with that. And then for those who aren't aware, the weight loss comes because of delayed gastric emptying. And so, I mean, it slows the food being processed and moved through your system. So that in and of itself can cause problems if you have to have a surgical procedure. And they tell you not to eat, and you're supposed to disclose what medications you're on, even the ones that you've ordered from television, and sometimes patients don't do that. And then the anesthesiologist is trying to put you to sleep, and there's an issue because there's still food in the gut and in the stomach. So I just wanted to mention that. Be very cautious, is all I'm trying to say.
Thank you so much. I am an LPG-1 user. Okay, so this is everybody here. I've had in my life both the tie and the tube. I don't know what that means. The one that ends in is the Wegovy versus the Zepbound. We had that whole conversation. What I can say to you is this: when I learned about LPG-1s for myself, is that you have to use it as a tool and not a crutch. Because as a crutch, what we do is we want to eat bad, and then take LPG-1 and say, okay, I'm gonna lose weight anyway. GLP-1, whatever, okay. But what I'm saying is that you have to be careful that you don't eat poorly and then use that to excuse a poor choice of eating. What I had to learn to do was to say to myself, I would challenge myself to eat properly, and then they would help me to cut out the food noise. If I can describe it that way. Is that, so I can honestly say to everybody here, I tried everything I started off with Saxenda, and then later on some things, and then the last thing I'll say is that please get your medication from a pharmacy. Okay, please. Get it from a pharmacy with, do that. But yes, they do work, but they are a tool and not a crutch. Thank you.
If you would please, Dr. Trayvon, Davis Mill.
So I will just talk about the guilt that goes along, the secrecy that has to go along with you taking the GLP-1s because your community isn't fully educated on it, and they will make an individual feel badly for doing those things. I'm gonna go back to saying, find your people, find your tribe. So find a provider who is supportive, who's educated, fully educated themselves on what it is that they are prescribing you, and then find your village of people so they won't shame you out of doing what you need to do for yourself.
I want to say thank you to our panelists and ask if you have any time to answer questions for another, say, 5 minutes. Is that okay? All right, great. So right now, we have a bit of bookkeeping. We've got to do housekeeping. I have to do bookkeeping. Anyway, so with that, you've got some questionnaires in front of you. As I mentioned, we have grant funding from the state and from the county, and so these documents help us demonstrate and share perspectives and everything with them. And so there's one with the yellow on it, that's screening forms. I would like for everyone to take that one out if you haven't already, with your initials up top. I'd like to ask you to complete that one. And then we have another one that deals just with the issue today and kind of evaluates how beneficial it was to you. So if you would complete these. Now, let me say this with our paperwork. We have to turn it in. So sometimes we get paperwork back, but people just kind of left it on the table. I'm coming to get some fruit from you or a piece of chicken or something. You have to give something back. You don't complete that paperwork. But no, we really appreciate and really need you to complete that paperwork. It allows us to continue with forums just like this one here today. All right? And then let me ask you all, if you're willing, I saw a lot of questions. Are you willing to stay a little bit later to ask those questions since our panelists have so graciously agreed to? Can I get a, I'll stay? All right, we're all good. Okay, good stuff. Yes. Question. I appreciate that. So, yes, so the bottom part, where it asks for height and weight, where it says body mass index, these ladies have shared they can't complete that. We'll do those calculations. So you don't have to worry about that last part. Yes, thank you, thank you. See, better than you. All right, we have a question here for the panel. Okay, all right. So while everyone, we want to give everybody a chance to finish up the paperwork. And so if you'll just kind of put your hand up, I appreciate it. Once you've completed your paperwork, we will come around and grab it and we'll continue. And I thank you. I see Dr. Brown got her paperwork. And I'm so grateful to have worked with everyone on the panel before. So everybody knows how important the paperwork is. And so we'll just come around and collect it. If you hold it up, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now this paper, y'all see it? Yes, please, if you'll put your initials on all of them. Okay. Yep. I see some folks. So I think everybody is, hands, are you still working? You need just a hot second. Okay. All right. And so then, as we're gathering the paperwork, then I want to go ahead and take some more questions for our panel. Okay. So I'm coming here, 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 here. Yes. And I'm just going to say, we are at the end, so if you will just be aware and be sensitive to a quick question.
So my question is about, when you were speaking, oh, sorry, can you hear me now? Okay, you were speaking about, feelings and, feelings aren't necessarily facts, and trying to differentiate between emotional eating and other eating, which, that's very difficult. So I was wondering if you have any tips on how to just stop yourself, be more mindful, and kind of break down what kind of eating am I experiencing right now? Am I actually hungry, or are there other things going on? Yeah.
So that's a great question. I don't know if you are able to get the PowerPoint slides up there, because I did have some practical strategies, and if they cannot, I have it on my laptop, so you can come take a picture when we get finished. But First of all, I would say pause and allow yourself that time to check in with your body and ground yourself, right? So again, we talked about, is this ghrelin, did I actually eat today? What did I eat? Or did this situation, when did this desire or this want or need to eat this particular thing occur? Walk back down the street, and when did my emotions change? When did my mood change? Was it because of something that happened, or is it because I didn't eat this morning? Okay. The other thing is, sorry, I have to look at my notes. To prepare yourself, right? We mentioned, hey, there we go. Okay, can we go to strategy number 2? Go back one. So you're gonna pause and check in. Strategy number 2 is to set realistic expectations. We want to go from 100 to 0 in one day. It don't work that way, okay? And for those of you who know about substance use or who work in substance use, there's a model called harm reduction. Harm reduction means that we are trying to reduce the harm that you were doing yesterday and do it differently today. Meaning if somebody is an intravenous drug user and they shoot up every single day, we might necessarily not be talking about you ending all drug use today. We're talking about, let me tell you where you can go to get clean needles so you won't be sharing needles with somebody else, okay? So that same mindset needs to go in this. It's one thing per day. You're not gonna be able to go, maybe you can, go cold turkey on something. Sugary drinks, I was able to go cold turkey on that, but not French fries, okay? So one thing at a time, like, be realistic, make it a smart goal. It has to be specific, measurable, something that you can achieve, right? Realistic, and then time sensitive. How long am I gonna do this? I got this down, and let me move on to the next thing, okay? And strategy number 3, and I'm gonna pass this mic. Speak kindly to yourself. I don't know if you guys remember when you were 14, 15, 16, and people told you what you need to be doing and what you should be doing. What did you do? The opposite. So guess what? That also works when you are talking to yourself. I should be. I need to be. Okay? Stop shooting yourself to death and tell yourself, I desire the benefits of. Even when I just said that, my tone lowered. I desire the benefits of having a stuffed body, so I gotta work on it in the wintertime. Whatever that thing is for you, I desire the benefits of. I desire not to have to take all of this medication for my blood pressure and all of these other things, okay? So talk kindly to yourself. Avoid guilt. If you had it, if you want it, I was telling somebody the other day, this is March Shamrock Shake time. I like Shamrock Shake, but I'm gonna go, I'm gonna order a small, okay? I'm gonna take 3 sips and then I put it in the trash because I wanted it. I'm not gonna deprive myself of it, but I'm not gonna suck down an extra large item. Okay. Small mind should change, okay?
Good stuff, Doc.
Brilliant. Where am I going?
Thank you, I'll be quick. My doctor has told me that I'm pre-diabetic and I'm also obese. Is there a diet or something to follow to help me not to cross over? I'm afraid of what I've been hearing about metformin and all the other diabetic medications.
So, once again, I don't use the D word, I don't use the diet word, but are there changes, simple, realistic, doable changes? Absolutely. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. The sugary drinks are huge. If you just, whatever can or bottle, just turn around and look at the back of it. Lots of sugar, lots of sodium. That'll increase your chance of turning from a pre-diabetic to a diabetic. Watching your complex carbohydrates. If it's white, it's a complex carbohydrate. The rice, the bread, the pasta, the potatoes. Am I telling you not to eat those things ever? I see the look on your face. I'm not telling you to ever eat those things again, but anything in moderation. I'm telling you a lean protein, a green leafy vegetable, If, like he said, if it's in a box, if you can't pronounce the word, you probably shouldn't be eating. So that's it in a nutshell. Keep it simple. You don't need a piece of paper to tell you what to eat. You really do know what to do.
Right, I have a question. I was inspired to come here this morning because I have a granddaughter that I'm looking at her every day. And I'm thinking, what is she doing? She's gaining the weight, she's getting the crazy foods that you talked about. And I wanted to know, as a young individual who doesn't listen, who you don't want to criticize, because how do you tell someone, hey, you know, I see that you're really gaining these pounds, and I also see the food that you're eating. She goes to the grocery store and buys what she likes, and she cooks it herself. Not healthy at all. So how do we reach out to the youth in regards to the weight issue? That's the question.
So we can spend all day on this conversation. I don't think that it's a one-size-fits-all. I will say, modeling what it is you like for them to see. If you are the individual that is preparing the meals and are doing the grocery shopping, those type of things. So you can start there and modeling behavior. But I would say building open communication and safe. First, you got to make the environment safe. You have to build a rapport so that they feel like you are, I think Tracy mentioned this, or somebody mentioned earlier today, that we are working this thing together. You're talking with me and not at me or to me and telling me what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay? So starting there, coming from a place of love, compassion, letting them know that this is really something that I'm concerned about you and your health. And then I would just say, in my work, I try to do everything from a trauma-informed perspective. And trauma isn't always seeing somebody get shot or being in a car accident. Trauma is what happened and, somebody said something briefly to me at school. So looking at individuals from the perspective of what happened as opposed to what's wrong with you. Okay? What happened to you? Thank you.
I wanted to get back, if we could, about not using the D word, the diet word, and look at substitutions. If you're somebody who likes rice, try to substitute for the cauliflower rice. If you're someone that likes pasta, when I substitute in recipes and I'm coaching our diabetics and doing a cooking class, I use the spinach pasta. And there are different vegetable flavored pastas that you can use to substitute that helps to reduce that carbohydrate level.
I have a question I just want to ask. I have a question I want to ask the doctor around on the end. Could you please explain to us what GLP-1 is? And is it naturally occurring? Because we always talk about it as a medication. But I want to ask the question, is it naturally occurring for us because some people don't know?
So that's a great question. So GLP-1 is glucagon-like peptide. That's a lot of words, but at the end of the day, the answer is yes. We actually produce GLP-1 naturally. It's produced from our gut. The problem when it's produced in our gut, it doesn't last long. And like Dr. Seabrook said, it affects digestion, so it slows things down. It also affects you at the level of the brain. It turns off a certain chemical to say, I'm full, stop eating. So it works two different ways. So that has been made into a medication. So we're getting something that we already have. And so obviously, most people know these shots are weekly. So the GLP-1 that we get naturally lasts this long. Obviously, the one that we get in the shot form lasts for 7 days. So the answer is yes, we naturally make it. It's been made in the lab. That's why it works so well. It absolutely is revolutionary, and there are a lot more medications down the pipeline that are coming out this year and next year.
But I want to do this now. I can't say thank you enough to our tremendous panelists. Please give us a hand. Reverend James, Dr. Davis Neal, Dr. Seabrook, Dr. Brown. We are so honored and blessed today. I got to give a shout out. The question came up about, or the answer about modeling. Dr. Davis Neal said, model what you want your kids to eat. And I'm so honored and blessed to have my mother here, 80 years old. This woman, whenever we ask for a cookie, here's some broccoli, here's a kid, Yep. She made the most bitter Kool-Aid but it turned out to be a real great blessing, and I did the same thing for my daughter. I'm also blessed and want to acknowledge I have one of Gary's greatest advocates here in my older brother, Tony Gillespie. I could go on and on as I see folks out here. I see Nurse Teresa, who came and did a shot at home for my bedbound father. I always remember that. I went to Dr. Seabrook, and everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, just call this person." And I'm just so grateful for community partners, for the way that we care for one another. And so I want to acknowledge you, the Lake County community. Your voices, your resilience, your willingness to show up for conversations like this is invaluable. To the beloved community that we're building, to the beloved community that we already are. Despite our challenges, despite many of our communities being food deserts, being job deserts, and like that, your strength and your readiness to grow together reminds us of something at Kenai that we deeply believe in. And that's that, together we're better. And so from today, what we're looking forward to, we're going to have a podcast. And with that, I'm wanting to see if these guests will continue this conversation. And just in the meantime, thank you for sharing a portion of your Saturday. Our wonderful Chelsea Whittington, thank you for sharing this outstanding job. But I know there are some of us who have to leave. And so I don't know if
I'll hang around a little longer.
All right, so Dr. Brown has agreed to, but at this portion, for those that have to transition out, I want to go ahead and give us a hard stop. Nicole, did you have something you want to share? Okay, again, if you all would please give our team, I might be missing somebody, Emma? Penny. Just thank you all so much. And give yourselves a round of applause. We're so grateful to you. Have a wonderful evening. You don't have to leave right now if you don't want to. But this is just starting.
Yeah.